I was having dinner in Brooklyn, and there was this woman, and she stood up from her chair and goes, and falls on the floor right beside my table. I go, this is odd.
This is odd?
Yeah. I said, I do believe she's having a heart attack.
I do believe.
Yeah, and so I pulled out my little wallet. We had our little thing, what to do. And I go, all right, help, help, call 911. And then, I think she's having a heart attack. You know, it's right there in the card.
You're doing it just like this.
Just like this. And so I go over to her, and I'm thinking, okay, I need to do chest compressions. And so I am straddling a woman, which I've never done. So it was kind of an interesting experience. So I was straddling this woman in this Brooklyn restaurant, and people are standing around watching this. So anyway, I'm going, Well, and then she started coughing. You know, I thought it was CPR that she needed, but actually what she needed was the Heimlich maneuver. So she was trying to hawk up a chicken bone, and I was blowing it back. I was blowing it back down her throat, and she goes, "Don't help me!" And this chicken bone comes popping out.
Grew up in Paola, Kansas, and so you just have to laugh at being gay.
Yeah, you do. And I think a lot of people knew that I was gay prior to me. There was a little grade school there, and that is where I went to kindergarten. And that is where I had my first theatrical experience as the lead, of course, in The Ugly Duckling. Oh yes.
You were?
Oh yes, I was indeed the Ugly Duckling. And I can still remember Lori Rumsey, she was my kindergarten teacher. I can still, backstage when I had to turn into the friggin' swan, I am pulling on, I'm this little fat kid, I'm about this tall and weigh about 400 pounds, and I look like a record in my corduroy pants, you know, it's like please, you know, taller laying down than I am standing up, right? Yeah, hold on. So she's backstage, and I'm trying to pull on this netting, this swan netting, and and I remember the other kids, they loved the part where quack, 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 get out of town, and they would pinch me. And I am like, I'm in my Ugly Duckling outfit, and they are hurting me, pinching me. And so I remember, I had my first Ugly Duckling song, or whatever the hell it was, and this kid who had been pinching the hell out of me from the back, you know, and I just had it, and he had a solo line. I remember this clearly. My grandmother sitting like 5 feet from me.
You're 5 years old.
I'm 5 years old. I remember this clearly. The kid grabbed these were microphones, and the kid grabbed that microphone and started to sing his song, and I thought, so I grabbed the microphone away from him, and I sang his part. I sang his part, and I thought, I'll show you. I know this show. I know this show. And I started singing his part, and I looked down, and I saw my grandmother kind of go.
How old were you when your grandma died?
I was 28 when she passed.
So she never knew?
My inclination is, I think mothers and female members of your family, I think they always
They know before you do?
I think,
I always hear that.
My mother did, but my grandmother, I think she probably knew, but she loved me too much to confront me. And then she got so sick at the end of her life that we never discussed it, because I never felt like she wanted to know.
Gotcha.
She never wanted to know.
Gotcha.
But when I finally decided to come out, I was 37.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's fairly late. And I remember I did all the research, and I thought, okay, all the books that I read said if you tell somebody, like your parents, tell them that you're gay, then they have to be reactive. They have to react at that moment.
Yeah.
And so don't do that. Write them a letter. And then call them up a couple of days, say you're going to call them. So I did that. I typed out a letter to my parents, and I mailed it. Well, I get a phone call from my mother the next day. She goes, "Oh, I've known you're gay for years. You know, I figured you'd talk to me about it whenever you're ready."
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. But my dad had 2 heart attacks that weekend.
You sent the letter, your dad had 2 heart attacks.
Yeah. So the next thing I hear, he got the letter, he's in the hospital in ICU.
Oh no.
And I'm going, holy crap, what have I done? So I run to Overland Park Regional where he's in ICU for his heart. And I run dramatically into his room and he goes, stop it. Your letter didn't cause this. Now that was funny.
That's very funny.
And then he said a phrase that I'll never forget. And I could still see him laying there saying it. He goes, Max, I got to tell you, I don't understand you being gay. But it doesn't mean I love you any the less.
Whoa.
Pretty big admission for my father, who wanted his firstborn son to be a football player.
And you were the first.
Yeah.
He said, I don't understand.
He goes, I don't understand being gay. I don't understand it. Because it doesn't mean I love you any the less. It was just great. And my parents came to know Todd well,
Yeah.
and welcomed him with open arms into our family. And nothing could have made me happier. And Todd and my mom, when both my parents passed away, Todd was right beside me as I was holding their hand when they died.
Wow.
You know, you can't, that is exactly the way it should have been. You know, Todd was right there. They loved him, they loved me.
So Max, you brought up with unconditional love. Mm-hmm. So you feel great about yourself.
I do.
Being the way you are,
I'm lucky.
You feel great about yourself. So you came out, and I'm going to ask you now to come out even more. What is the funny stuff that happens? Because this is the whole point of how humor and laughter helps you being gay, basically in a straight world, especially being in the Midwest.
There was a time, and it hasn't been in the too distant past, when people wanted to have a collection of gay friends we were talking about. Oh, yes, you must be in my cadre of gay friends.
In other words, being gay, you're on special lists.
Oh, you're ever so popular. Yes, everybody.
Wait, you're my token gay friend.
Yeah. Oh, yes. There was a bunch of that.
Would they ever introduce you to the party? This is Max, our gay friend. Would they?
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, it's like, oh, am I expected to perform here on that giraffe? What? You know, like a pig in the middle of the table with an apple in my mouth. What? You know, it was almost like they were waiting for you to do something. And because you were also in theater, and I know you probably have felt this too, sometimes you're invited and then you're suddenly expected to mini perform.
Tell a joke.
You know, tell a joke.
Absolutely.
Yeah, make me friggin' laugh, kid.
Do that.
You know, it's like,
Do that.
yeah, dance for grandma. Dance for grandma. You know, it's like, okay.
That's it.
Okay. I have had them come up and say, excuse me, do you have Gaydar?
Gaydar.
Yeah, that is, can you tell if somebody else is gay? And I go, well, yes, actually I do. And they go, can you tell me if he's gay? And I go, oh, absolutely, he's gay. He's got stretch marks around his mouth. You can tell immediately. What? I don't know if he's gay or not. I really don't care.
Do people do that at dinner, Max? They're having dinner, they're talking, to go, Max, what does the gay community think about
Yes,
this?
they do. Like, let me, you know, I have my own parade. Let me just, you know. Having been gay and out since 1978, I have gone through a lot of changes myself, and I have had to laugh at some of the stupid things that I've done. Like going out of my way for a number of years to pretend I was straight, you know, when I wasn't.
How would you do that?
I would find, when I sat down,
You'd pose?
I would pose. You know, I'd do a Johnny Weissmuller, you know, and it's like, you know, and I do, you know. And
Voice
now,
changes?
And, oh, yes, yeah.
Yes, I'm Max Brown. Glad to meet you.
And it's like, now I just go, hi, Max.
So people think you're B. Arthur.
Yeah, B. Arthur, yeah. It's like,
Your sensitivity comes, not because you're gay, your sensitivity comes by the way you were raised with your
By the way I
grandmother,
was raised.
your mother, and you're caring for people.
yeah.
And doing that.
Yeah, my grandmother was just, I was born when my mom was a junior in high school. And 1952, Paola, Kansas.
Oh, boy.
You know, they didn't have any kind of accoutrement, carts, cribs. Kind of stuff. She took me to
Plus, you were an outcast if you did that.
Yeah.
Something was wrong with you.
Yeah, my mother took me to high school with her because there's no daycare. There's none of that.
Really?
And she would tie me, when she was in typing class, tie me in the chair so I wouldn't fall out because there was no, kid things.
Car seats
No
or
car seat,
anything,
none of
yeah.
that. And she would tie me in the chair with her scarf and do her typing. And 15 years later, Irma Minden, I'm in her typing class and she reminds me of that.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Of that moment.
How
She goes,
cool
I
is that?
remember when your mom brought you to school. I
She was
remember
a
that."
junior in high school.
Yeah, she was
Okay.
junior in high school. So one of the interesting things was when my parents were dying, and I knew it was coming, and we all knew it. I was able to sit with them and laugh and remember the stories as we were spending those last weeks together. I remember when. My mother was in the hospital and she had emphysema. She'd been a lifelong smoker, and that ultimately is what took her life. But we would just sit and talk about my growing up and what life had meant to her. And she was such an example for me that I saw her doing so much good for people, and she did it in secret. She would do things for people ultimately anonymously. But she saw somebody who needed this, and she found a way to finagle to see that they got it. A woman, a microwave, another woman, a washing machine.
And she didn't want any credit for it.
She didn't want any credit. She just found a way to get it donated so that person got something that they needed, and she did it entirely in secret. And I thought, oh man, I thought I was a good person, but I don't know how you beat that.
Do you remember one of the last laughs you had with your mom or dad before they died?
I took my mother. This is maybe about a week before she died.
Do I need to get tissue?
No.
Okay.
This is about a week before she died. And my mother was thin, very, very thin. And I said, Mother, you're not eating. I'm worried about you. So I drove her to, they used to have these places, I don't know if they still do, called Luby's, like a buffet.
Okay.
It's like a buffet.
Sure.
Yeah, buffet. And so she goes, why are we at Luby's? I said, Mother, you need to eat. Mother, you need to eat. You're just wasting away. You need to eat. We're going into, she goes, and so you're taking me to Luby's. Luby's. Plaza 3, down the street, Luby's. She goes, I want a cocktail. Todd. So and I didn't find out this, but she would call Todd in the day and she goes, you got to talk Max out of trying to get me to go to Luby's. I hate that place. She goes, take me. And so he would go out and pick her up and drive her to like margaritas, and they would sit and have Mexican food and slam back.
And you didn't know. You didn't know she.
My mother was drinking. No, I didn't want see my mother. I'm not drinking. No. And Todd says, "Oh, I've been shutting them back with your mother for a couple of years now."
You had no idea. You never told us?
No. I said, when did you start? Oh, yeah. I said, well, that's why you get better Christmas presents than I did. I wondered why. She goes, yeah. He goes, that's exactly it. Todd's mom lives in a Christian assisted living center in Milwaukee. And over Christmas time, I was up there visiting. And the walls of this place are peppered all over with crucifixes, everywhere. And I got on the elevator, and this lady was coming up with her little wheelie cart of groceries. And she snagged her sweater on the crucifix right by the elevator door, and the door was going to close on her head. And so I said, oh my gosh. And so I grabbed the door, slammed it open, yanked her sweater off the cross, pulled her into the elevator with her groceries, and the door closed, and she just looked at me. And the elevator went up. We never said a word. She got off the elevator. And I thought, okay, that was weird. I was the right place at the right time. I just saved this woman's life, and we just looked at each other. Then, maybe an hour and a half later, I'm going back down to go outside to get some fresh air, and she is there with her son, and he's coming in to visit her because it's Christmas time, and she goes, "There's the man that pulled me from the cross earlier today." I just didn't know what to say to that.
For some of the people that don't know, you teach at a high school in the Kansas City area,
Right.
And you how long have you?
This is my 40th year.
40th
teaching.
year.
Yeah.
What people also don't know, and I should tell them, is you have an incredible reputation, having had some of my family members want to go to the school and transfer just because you were there. You have a great reputation doing this, and people will come there. You have a great love, and that love that you have that you taught about your grandma, you give those to the students, and it's just infectious. They love it.
I love what I do.
Okay.
Clearly.
I just wanted people to know that so they understand that, you know, your dedication and how much you love to help kids.
Yeah, there was, yes. I can remember, this just happened a couple of years ago. I had a girl in class, and it was one of those magical classes that you just pray for. Everything went well, everybody was having a great time performing, everything like that. And about, I would say, maybe about a minute before the bell was to ring, a spider crawled out from under one of the things and crawled across the floor, and we were having this wonderful moment. And this girl, she screams, she goes, "Ah! That is the biggest spider I have ever seen!" And the class just went collectively. Well, class, this would be a great example of words we probably shouldn't use in the school day. And then I went,
I started in the You Just Have to Laugh, and I started coming up with this created by. You usually say created by, and then I always just put my name in, and then I thought, and then one day I'm editing, and I go, no, You Just Have to Laugh is created by our humanity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's one of the reasons I did Shadowbox. I think you remember seeing that. Milan was in that when we did.
What I did now.
Remember,
I saw you afterwards, and I went, I couldn't even talk to you.
That was just.
I was so touched by
I do that play about every 4 or 5 years.
Which is, why don't you tell? It's about.
It's a play by Michael Christopher, and it's a play about living every moment. Ultimately, the premise is that we have 3 different cottages in which people are terminally ill, and they're passing away, and their families come to visit them in those last few moments. And it is a great lesson for high school kids. But it was also interesting directing kids who were certainly not gay, playing gay roles, you know, and what that was like. And, you know, one of their questions to me as we were going on was, how does one be gay? And I go, good question. I don't know. I don't know, you just are. You just are. Sometimes some people are, some people aren't.
It's just really that simple. It's that simple.
I didn't choose this.
Yeah.
I didn't choose it. Maybe it chose me. I don't know. But I've just always, this is who I am. And I said, I don't know that is the important part of this character. The important part is he's a human being and he loves this man. And you know, that's the humanity you were talking about. That's who you have. That's what you have to play in that moment, because that's what you have. Yeah. People are gay, people are straight, people are everything in between. So, it was a great lesson for all of us.
You're a great lesson.